morning. I swear a lot.
Hello friends, and welcome back to Limbus Company, welcome back to Canto 7. So, something I want to clear up straight away, because I've noticed in editing that I keep mixing up the terms while I'm talking about this. Obviously, the originator, first Blood Fiend, made the first Kindred. They can only make 2 Blood Fiends each, and it continued on that way. Each of the first Kindred would go on to basically form their own kinda like clans, where they have their own abilities, like how Cassetti's family had like blood weapons and stuff, and Don Quixote is a second Kindred. I know you know that. I'm making sure you know I know that, because I appreciate that in, like, I think the past 2 episodes, when I've been talking about this stuff, I have gotten terms mixed up sometimes. It happens when you're talking into a microphone for more than an hour. Sometimes you start to mix things up, and it's much easier to get details and facts correct when you're sat behind a keyboard, typing things out and thinking about it. So if I get terms mixed up, rest assured, I do know what's actually happening, and just auto-correct it in your head. If that annoys you, I apologize, but I'm not doing it on purpose. So cope and get a grip. In which a truth that may be revealed by close inspection is spoiled by none other than Sanson himself. Oh, he's such a crafty boy. Why did you leave him nearly dead and then come back to finish the job? Why didn't you just kill him? I'm not crazy, that's a strange thing to do, right? Zishun and her men approached us, appearing to be in pristine condition compared to the priest, who is, I think, dying. Is this what you're up to now, little sister? Being up men of the cloth? It is pretty funny, I'll grant you that. What teeny tiny amount of civility that she even bothered to present has now faded away, so that's cool. Oh, Honglu. Somehow that's sadder than anything else you could have said.
충분히 숨통을 끊고도 남을 만큼 여유는 있어 보이는데 그냥 내버려두는 이유는?
What is the purpose?
뻔하군. 고문의 흔적이다.
Oh, they want information, right? Okay, fair enough.
이 구역의 장치는 이미 누군가 작동시켰군. 다음 구역으로 갈 수 있게 되었음에도 뭔가 더 쥐어짤게 남았나?
She's just like, nah, I'm bored. This place is lame. The rides are awful. And getting like a box of chips costs like 10 quid.
말했을 텐데.
You haven't actually told us much at all, but go on.
라만체랜드의 토벌은 내 목표가 아니야.
Okay.
그렇다고
Literally.
당신들이 고문이나 즐기려고 온 것처럼 보이진 않는데요.
But you see, what is fun for her is to half explain what her motivations are and then grumpily say, I don't want to talk to you guys anymore, and then walk off, and we're like, cool, so we don't know anything more than when we started.
그래. 우리가 혈귀 사냥꾼도 아니고 그런 걸 즐기진 않지.
But then why?
거긴 돈벌이하고는 상관없이 그저 혈귀들을 더 많이, 더 고통스럽게 죽이는 것에만 의의를 두는 집단이니까.
I'm gonna assume you don't care about the money either, considering the family you come from.
하지만 난 달라. 내가 필요한 건 정보야. 나는 그 정보를 얻기 위해 여기까지 들어온 거고.
Alright, so personal motivation then, fair enough. I wanted to know what specific piece of information she was talking about, but I was pretty positive that she wasn't going to answer that question anyway, plus she can't hear me, because I tick.
그렇지만 이제 슬슬 이것의 뇌를 터뜨리려던 참이었어.
Ah, you finished playing with it, I see. That's cool. Can we ask it some questions first?
아무리 고통을 가해도 제정신을 차리지 못하더라고. 보다시피 이미 고통으로 한참 전에 미친 거겠지. 우리 집안의 흑수들이 생각나지 않아? 오빠?
The thing that always strikes me about hearing more about Honglu's family is that the more we hear, the more it occurs to me how little we know by this point. Like, every detail just brings into light the fact that we know nothing, which is what makes it so interesting, of course. It's definitely not an oversight on the writer's part. It's a very, very well orchestrated long-term teasing of tiny snippets of information when we're like, but what does it mean altogether, though? And you can kind of get an idea of what the family is like, but you also have no fucking clue. What are these people like? Fuck knows. Is Honglu a good representation? I don't think so. I suspect that Zishun isn't either. I think she's more of a representation of them than Honglu is. That very cold and quite standoffish attitude, because I think the brother we saw at the end of Canto 1 who was hanging out with G-Corp was kind of the same way, but that was so long ago I don't remember, so I don't even remember what the guy said. It's interesting. Honglu seems to take it well, though. Jasi Shun asked as she gestured toward the priest, who was splayed out helplessly on the ground. Her voice was dripping with contempt. Despite her viciously threatening words, the look on the priest's face was serene. He looked at us with eyes that couldn't be more at peace.
당신들을 보니 지난 상담자가 생각나는군요.
I hope it was a more pleasant occasion than this one.
어느 날부터 로렌소라는 혈기가 이곳을 계속 방문했습니다. 처음에는 상담이 필요 없을 정도로 긍정적인 마음을 가지고 있었죠.
Lorenzo, eh?
신부님, 오늘은 컨디션이 좋아요. 혈액반은 정말 대단한 발명품이에요.
It's just a shame they taste fucking terrible.
신부님, 오늘은 혈액발을 110개나 먹어치웠어요. 앉은 자리에서 모조리. 이 정도면 아마 혈기들 사이에서 신기록일 거예요.
110? How much blood content is in a hemobar?
하지만 그런 마음은 그리 오래가지 않더군요.
I mean, yeah, I figured.
신부님, 오늘은 혈액 바늘을 3시간 동안 핥아버렸어요. 피 한 방울이 묻은 그 바늘 맛이 잊혀지지가 않아요. 혈액 바늘 오늘 하나도 안 먹었어요. 모두가 한참 전부터 알고 있잖아요. 이딴 벽돌이 대체 우리에게 무슨 도움이 되는 건데?
So, I'm guessing that hemobar doesn't actually have any blood in it. It's a substitute, you know, like a meat substitute. So in this specific context, for the purposes of, you know, blood fiends basically being vampires, blah, 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 a blood substitute of that nature is probably similar to those people, the fucking idiots, by the way, who try to give their dogs vegetarian or vegan diets, where it's like, oh yeah, you can simulate meat, certainly, but there's something in there that they need. Right, and you, or at the very least, we are not currently properly capable of replicating it yet. I've heard rumors that that might be on the horizon, but I don't trust it. Like, with 13 of my own dogs, they eat meat. Like, I ain't risking their health on something I don't know for 100% certain works. But the reason I bring this up is because it's very similar to here, where blood fiends do have this, like, substitute in place, but it's clear it doesn't work. At the bare minimum, it's just not as satisfying as blood, but I think it goes beyond that, where it has barely enough in it to keep them going. You know what I mean? Like, a dog who's not fed meat would live, you know, it would be sustained, but it would be terribly unhealthy and miserable. And I think that's the same situation with blood fiends. Not trying to compare these guys to dogs, but it's a similar concept which can be used to convey the idea more clearly. What are hemobars made of?
우리는 언제까지 이렇게 비참하게 살아야 하는 거죠?
And that's the problem, of course, because the idea was like, this is basically going to be the status quo for the foreseeable future, isn't it? So that they don't get hunted down for being blood fiends.
저는 그 답을 알고 있기에 말해주었습니다. 공존은 끝없는 인내에서부터 시작되는 법입니다.
They suffer for a right to exist in modern society. And it's funny because in most other fictional settings, you'd be like, oh man, like, I'm kind of on the blood fiend side here because that's awful. And you know, I certainly sympathize with them, but as we've seen from kind of the way they are and their desperate need for blood, they just don't quite, they're just unstable enough to be unable to coexist in society in this context. Which makes it such an awkward moral quandary with, like, no right answer, which is exactly how it should be written. Very well done.
그러니 힘들수록 더 크게 환호하십시오. 라만차랜드에서는 항상 웃음소리가 끊이지 않도록.
So the general mentality among a lot of the employees is just aggressive positivity and an attempt to not even acknowledge the fact that they're all basically dying on the inside. That's very interesting.
하지만 그 이후로 로렌소가 진심으로 웃는 모습을 보게 된 건
Was after he drained someone dry?
머리가 터진 채 이곳 아래에 묻히기 직전이었습니다.
Ah, even more dire, just before he died. Fantastic.
궁금하더군요. 죽지도 않은 이를 땅에 묻는 건 대체 어떤 의미가 있는지.
Oh, that's fucked.
당신과 저는 평생 알 수 없을 일이지 않습니까?
I suppose not.
도망자 카세티도 손수 그 시체를 묻어주셨습니까?
Oh, well, no, because he kind of doesn't exist anymore, you know? Like, not as in, like, removed from reality as such, but he's kind of... There might be a smear of him left, but I'm pretty sure we cleaned the bus car quite thoroughly. He's just gone. There was nothing to bury, you know what I mean? Gone. I would be careful, she could probably knee you quite hard. Don Quixote, don't eat him. He doesn't deserve it. Don't cassette him.
너무 오래 살려줬나 보네. 비켜.
I mean, there's no point. I mean, you may as well just let it happen because he's even before everything that Zishan did, he was not in a great state mentally, I imagine. But now he's also physically broken, and it's like maybe just let the poor guy, you know, be on his way, so to speak. Jia Shun swung her fan toward the Blood Fiend, but I love fans as weapons, they're very cool. He was nowhere to be seen, because that tricky boy and his funny staff are back. Moment thoroughly spoiled by Sanson. I have been spoiled on the end of the game. Who did it? It was Sanson. He popped into my comments section. Please don't do that. Don't make an account called Sanson and spoil the game. I'd be very sad. Ah. You guys might be a bit out of your league on this one. Wei stepped in at the last second to block the Blood Fiend's strike from behind.
신부는 누구보다 믿음이 깊은 자였습니다.
I would presume so, considering he's the priest.
언제부터?
He's just been popping up around the place. I don't think he's an overseer, frankly. The Magician! The second tarot card. Crazy.
모든 게 다 잘 될 것이라는 믿음. 마침내는 그의 뜻대로 이루어질 거라는 믿음. 궁극적으론 모두가 행복해질 수 있을 거라는 믿음.
Yeah, and how'd that turn out for him?
그리고 신부는 우리 중 고통받는 자들을 외면하지 않았던 유일한 자였습니다.
So he's actually the coolest guy here.
그래서 우리 중 인내의 끈을 놓으려는 자가 하나 둘 생기기 시작할 무렵 가장 먼저 나서서 그들에게 손을 내밀었죠.
So I guess the question I have at the moment is why is Sanson so composed? Like even blood fiends who get to feed don't seem particularly stable. But this guy is perfectly dignified. So what's up with that?
하지만 다른 이들의 마음을 돌보는 자는 그만큼 자신의 마음을 돌보는 것은 소홀해지기 마련.
That's damn true.
이 한 칸짜리 조그만 방 안에서 신부의 마음은 병들어 갔습니다. 우리 중에 이를 알아차린 사람이 몇이나 있었을까요?
이봐, 자연스럽게 끼어드는 건 이제 아무래도 좋지만 말이야.
I'm so glad that you feel comfortable interrupting other people's conversations, but we're kind of in the middle of something here.
이번에도 호락호락하게 동료를 데려갈 수 있을 거라 생각했다면 오산이야.
I appreciate the enthusiasm, Gregor, but I have no idea how we'd stop him from, like, teleporting whatever the fuck it is that he does.
정확히는 이야기를 계속 이어지게 하기 위해 온 겁니다.
You're here to chat shit and then run away while we're still thinking about what you said, and we're like, damn it, it's such an effective tactic.
이 악인이 자꾸만 간악한 술수를 부리며 우리를 교란하려 하는군.
Yeah, don't fall for it, Don Quixote. Stab him.
아니, 제가 간악한 술 당신들이 아니라 당신.
I tried to get the dialogue to load quickly twice in a row, but he decided to have two short lines. That's very upsetting to me.
오직 당신 하나만을 위해.
Why is she smiling now?
무슨...
자, 분위기가 울적해지는 이야기는 여기까지.
Misery loves company, but three's a crowd, you know what I mean?
아직 당신에게는 이야기할 모험담이 잔뜩 남아있지 않나요?
Are we returning to the stage?
위대한 모험가 돈키호테.
본인이 아무리 위대한 모험을 겪어왔다고는 하나 너 같은 놈을 위해서 들려줄 이야기는 없다네.
And yet, Sanson seems to know all of these tales, or at least the most pertinent ones. And the question is how?
이런... 제가 배려가 부족했군요. 역시 혼자서는 부끄러우신가요?
So I'll express that at this point, I get the impression that Sanson is a first kindred. I feel like the game is hinting that. Whether or not that turns out to be the case is yet to be found out. But my thoughts are the combination of Sanson's just general abilities combined with the fact that it's highly implied that he was there in the Lonely King, the originator's castle, back when the knight showed up and all this took place, implies to me that Sanson is one of the first kindred. The way that story was told implies that the second kindred were made after the castle was taken down, although it wasn't confirmed one way or the other, so I'm staying very loose on that thought. But I feel like it's heavily implied perhaps that Sanson knew Don Quixote from back then personally. Not while the castle was still standing, because there was no second kindred at that time, but perhaps afterwards. But I also get the impression that Don Quixote, in the form or version or state that she's in now, doesn't necessarily remember or know about being a blood fiend. It seems like a suppressed personality of some kind. I don't know. There's a lot we don't know yet. It seems like she and Sanson knew each other.
그런 뜻이 아니라.
I dare say.
이해합니다. 확실히 혼자서 무대를 이끈다는 건 쉬운 일이 아니죠.
And yet I have to do it every day.
그럼 제가 도움을 조금 드리겠습니다.
멈춰라 로시한테.
Oh.
난 떠나고 싶지 않아. 왜 내 의지에 발을 움직이는 것이냐?
So the shoes have some will of their own, like more than just its own mind and ability to speak. Perhaps it can control her actions as well, or at least her legs, because they're her shoes. That was...
방금 그것은 무엇이었는가?
Oh, she saw it this time.
오랜만에 공연에 긴장한 나머지 실수를 저질렀군요.
Terribly sorry. I haven't been on stage in a little while, getting a little sloppy. You didn't see that, did you? Oh shit, you did. Okay,
실수?
slipped.
공연이 무르익다 보면 감정에 취해 가끔 순서가 꼬이기도 하는 법이죠.
If you say so.
심심한 사과의 말씀을 전하며 다시 시작해 보겠습니다.
Let's start from the beginning.
하얀 달의 기사와 겨루었던 그날의 치열한 전투부터 말이죠.
A duel against the Knight of the White Moon. How delightful.
그 전투는 본인의 인생에서 손에 꼽을 만한 대단한 전투였네.
But why did you do it? Don Quixote's voice falters once again, falling unnaturally quiet. Sanson must be working his trickery again.
그 대단한 전투가 돈키호테와 하얀 달의 기사의 첫 만남이었습니다.
Oh, so that was when they first met. Okay.
우리의 모험가 돈키호테를 마침내 깊은 곳 어딘가 망각의 강으로 이끌어 주었던 그 기사 말이죠.
The River of Oblivion! Would you guys like to know a fun history fact? I'm not actually asking, but it's semi-relevant to this. There is a prison, or there was a prison, I don't know if it still stands, in southwestern Iran called the Fortress of Oblivion, which held at one point either Khosrow Anushirawan or his dad. Or both? Was it both? At different times? I can't remember. But there is a prison in southwestern Iran in the old days called the Fortress of Oblivion, and it's the best name for a building I've ever heard in my life. And this obviously reminded me of it. Don't say history never gave you anything. She's like, the Fortress of Oblivion's fucking rad.
깊은 곳의 강.
Is that what you're looking for?
관리자님, 저 이제 알 것 같아요.
It would be completely out of character and would make no sense considering how much he should know by now, but I would love it if Sinclair turned around and went, Manager, I think Sanson might be a blood fiend. Don't say it too loud though, I don't want to spook anyone. And Heathcliff's like, you what?
저 사람은
That man is a blood fiend. I know that's not what he's gonna say.
우선 대역에 집중하시죠.
Of course it was Sinclair who figured it out, because Sinclair is the one who plays the role of the knight, yeah. Well played.
보아하니 처음으로 만난 대등한 상대였군요. 당신의
I mean, I'm assuming that Sanson was like a first kindred, but what if he was the guy? There's nothing necessarily 100% pointing to that, but it's not impossible either, I don't think. He could be the guy. the originator, the progenitor, Mr. Big Blood Boy, you know, the official term.
맞소. 그자는 정말 강했지.
The fact that he carries like 3 swords means he's probably pretty good with all of them.
젠장. 또
And it just so happens that during this fight, a bear was watching. Heathcliff's like, no! At all.
답답해.
Are you telling me you didn't like being a peasant?
하얀 달의 기사는 참으로 패션 센스가 엉망이었던지 알지.
Well, I will concede that the moon stitched onto his tabard looks kind of silly. It's no more ridiculous looking than your outfit, Don Quixote. I know this isn't out of place. I know this is like similar to how it would look, like what they're going for, the real life kind of historical thing they're drawing from. But somehow it looks ridiculous on her, and I don't know what it is specifically, which just makes me think it looks fucking ridiculous, and it looks like a child playing at being a hero, which might be the point. To be fair, that might be 100% intentional, but that's the impression it gives off.
또한 본인에게 먼저 결투를 신청한 건 그 기사였다네. 용기가 가상했지.
I was thoroughly impressed by his overwhelming desire to get fucking bodied. What an absolute lad for allowing himself to get smacked around for 4 minutes.
아마 도시를 떠돌며 명성을 떨치고 있었던 본인의 실력이 궁금했으리라 생각한다네.
Now this is where I start to really doubt the accuracy of the portrayal of these events that we're seeing, because Don Quixote is not a renowned adventurer or fixer. I'm sure some people know who she is, certainly, but known far and wide in all corners of the city. The city's the size of a continent, apparently. And now that I say that, people are going to one-up me and say, actually, it's the size of a planet, and I'm gonna be like, shut up. Now I know you're fucking with me. But the city's fucking huge, and her combat capabilities at the start of this game, bearing in mind, take gameplay capabilities with a pinch of salt when comparing it to canon, because for example, Ricardo in Canto 5 is not as strong as he actually is, and he's also holding back. So when people try and compare Ricardo to the Blood Fiends in this Canto, that's a little skewed, right? That's not 100% accurate, and you should always take power levels with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, Don Quixote wasn't, and I would say still isn't, strong enough to be considered a character who would be known far and wide in all corners of the city. Maybe she was stronger back in the day, but I'm not seeing it. You know, she's not old. I don't see why she would have lost skill. Well, technically she is old. Technically she's really old. I forgot about the Blood Fiend angle, actually. Let's just keep listening.
위대한 모험가인 당신이라면 거절하지 않았겠군요.
It would be such a fantastic twist if she actually chickened out.
당연한 말을 본인은 흔쾌히 외쳤다네. 진정한 모험가는 걸어온 결투를 마다하지 않는다. 덤벼라 기사여!
Let's fucking go for it.
당신의 창과 하얀 달의 기사의 대검이
Gotta commend him on the music as well. It evokes that sense of adventure very well.
있는 힘껏 부딪혔죠.
Great swords are cool. Sinclair, you look ridiculous. Put it down.
모든 결투에는 응당 조건이란 게 있는 법이죠. 이 대단한 결투도 예외는 아니었을 겁니다.
I think it's portraying this kind of intentionally, where it's being described as such a momentous duel, but the visual reality of it is just essentially 2 children smacking oversized weapons against each other. Which I feel is intentional. I feel like they're trying to evoke that visually. It looks stiff and awkward and ridiculous, which I think is 100% intentional.
난 이 결투에서 승자가 되든 패자가 되든 상관없어. 다만 돈키호테여, 나와 정정당당하게 무기를 맞대어 결투에 응해준다면
I would give you like 5 Skittles, but not the green ones. They're my favorite.
맹세하지. 네가 그 무엇보다 원하는 것을 내가 손에 쥐어주겠다고.
Alright, maybe 1 green Skittle.
대담하고 노기 등등하게 또 결투자의 무기가 서로 맞닿았고 로신한테가 결투의 신호를 알렸죠.
And Rocinante was like, moo! Maybe he was still a horse at this point, hard to say.
이 결투를 로신한테만큼은 지켜보고 있었을 테니까요.
I get that the chances are Rocinante was probably always a pair of shoes in this context. It's just funny that they also referred to him as a steed at one point. And here now as well.
시 작!
우리는 사흘 밤낮 동안 쉬지 않고 칼을 부딪혔네.
For 3 suns and 3 moons, we pathetically whapped our sticks against each other.
잠깐, 당신은 칼이 아니라 창을 들고 있지 않았나요?
Well, isn't it a turn of phrase?
말이 그렇다는 것이지.
I was gonna say. Interesting. I like how the priest is just still alive and chilling. He will definitely get away. Which recounts the close and dramatic duel between the Knights of the White Moon and the valiant Don Quixote. Oh goodness, I actually have to fight this. Bollocks.
내가 나설 차례인가?
God damn it.
둘의 대결은 정말이지 막상 막하 우열을 가릴 수 없었기에.
So how did you win?
그는 이들의 손바닥에는 땀이 한 움큼 배어나올 정도였네.
After 3 days, we actually started sweating just a little bit.
주위엔 어느덧 응원하던 자들도 생겨났지.
Ryoshu looks fucking radical. I love that outfit. She looks super cool. She looks cooler than anyone else here.
돈키호테님, 이겨라.
Very good, Ryoshu. Well done.
저 녀석 얼굴 한번 볼만하네.
No, you saw this. Oh,
그럼 저는 하얀 달의 기사 쪽을 응원할래요. 신선하잖아요.
Honglu, that suits you to a T.
와, 기사님 힘내세요.
He's absolutely priceless.
본인의 칼끝은
오.
기사의 왼쪽 어깨에 내리꽂혔고 그자의 칼끝은 나의 귀를 스쳐 지나갔다네.
That seems fairly one-sided.
위대한 모험가 돈키호테가 결투에서 상처를 입다니. 괜찮은 걸까요?
Oh no.
괜찮다네. 결투에서 얻은 상처들은 명예로 거듭날 뿐 결코 명예를 떨어뜨리지는 않으니.
I'd like if she was understaying it and he actually took her fucking ear off and he was like, oh no, is everything okay? And she's like, what? Pardon?
물론 본인의 실력이 조금 더 좋았다고는 생각하네. 마음만 먹으면 아마 최후의 일격 정도는 날릴 수 있었을 테지.
And yet, we are supposed to fight a fight at the end of this.
둘은 서로 전속력으로 정면을 향해 달려갔습니다.
Apparently the wounds to the knight's shoulder doing nothing to loosen his grip on that absurdly sized sword.
최후의 승패를 가리기 위해서 말이죠.
Oh cool, now we're fighting it. Okay, interesting. So is this a Camilla situation where it's kind of predetermined? At least we get the good music again. Honorable duel, a reminiscent, I'm not sure if that's a word, tale of adventures, become immensely powerful. Reminisce tales of adventure. I think it's just misspelled. Yeah, that's fair. What, like I've never misspelled anything in my life? Dragon of the Spring, that's a great name. Please tell me there is going to be, or there already is, a Knight of the White Moon identity, because that would be pretty dope. Gain 2 haste, gain fragile. Less damage taken, gain 3 attack power up on clash. Lose at 10 plus clashes against the same enemy, randomly gain or lose clash power by clash count divided by 10 in a clash rounded down. That's interesting. A lot of randomness going on there. That would provide additional attack power up next turn. That would gain attack power up as speed, or coin power I should say. A high speed, which we don't have, so fucking go for it I suppose. Nice. And we can't see what his attacks are doing. Or his health. Interesting. Clashable Guard, gain 3 protection, clash win, deal HP damage equal to the final clash power of this skill. He's gaining haste. If we can get a lot of haste going, that's hopeless, okay. Wait, that's interesting. Okay, so we'll just do it. Yeah, we'll just do it this way around then, I suppose. That's fine. That works. Happy with that. Very nice. Well done, Don Quixote. Doing great. I'm sorry, I can't hear you over how much I love this flamenco music. It's fucking dope. We're definitely gaining a lot more haste than we should be, but we should continue to try and gain more. Having said that, Joust is not doing well against these skills. So it might be best to just focus on Galloping Tilt for now. And then for Justice... Oh, Faint Trace is scary. That seems like it would win. The game seems confident that these will do it. I can only go by the prediction because I can't see his coins. So I have no idea. It's almost as if these outcomes might be slightly predetermined. I don't know. It's cool though. Ah! Spooky. Oh my god, she has 1600 HP. How did I not notice that? God damn. Alright, well, we are winning. Except for now, when things are going to get very painful. We don't know what his speed is, but we can choose any clash we want, so I guess that's how we know. So theoretically, we are faster than him, so Pallid Trace won't be gaining that power. Only problem is, Galloping Tilt is the only one that is guaranteed to win. These two are almost guaranteed to lose against anything they go up against. What am I supposed to do? Just not fight? I suppose I do have a dodge. But I have no idea how effective that'd be. I suppose I could offset the guard and then Galloping Tilt that, and then, I don't know. Oh, it's hopeless, so surely that just won't work. Maybe just try and dodge it? I don't know. Nope. Good stuff. Mental Fracture. And deal bonus damage. Okay. Kinda don't want him to deal bonus damage, you know, that's probably quite important. Combat start, gain 10 attack power up and 10 haste. Next turn. How about I offset that if possible? Maybe? That'd be good. He gained it anyway. Terrifying. It didn't seem to do him any favors though. Did him some. Oh, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. That was cool. I like that. So how long will the battle continue for? Surely I'm like, oh, maybe it'll end now. I don't know. Unused gain 5 pierce damage up. Spooky. Ego! Let's sangre de Sancho! Oh, this is gonna be good. Oh, this is gonna be good. Oh, let's see it then. Go on. Ooh. He has a bow! Yeah! That's cool. I liked that a lot. That was fun. That was a good time.
과연 승자는?
And the victor was Ryoshu for looking the coolest. Listen, guys, can I stop playing this role now? My arms are tired. I've never had to deflect Don Quixote's lance before. It fucking hurts.
누구였나요?
Who did win?
결과는
The true winner was our sponsor, Manscaped. Are your balls covered in hair? Alright, I'm sorry.
승자도 패자도 없었네.
It was a draw.
왜냐하면 무승부였기 때문이지. 이례적으로.
A highly irregular but fairly hype conclusion in the grand scheme of things.
그럼 다시 한번 결투를 시작했나요?
아니, 본인은 자비를 베풀 줄 아는 관대한 모험가였다네.
So what's the catch? Something's just not right here at all.
그래서 기사에게 이렇게 말했지.
I feel like there is an ounce of truth to this, but I feel like Don Quixote is just misremembering them, or she has kind of convinced herself of alternative outcomes to these events and then not actually took place. Maybe the duel did end in a draw, but then at an urging, perhaps it was Rocinante, perhaps it was herself, who knows, she like stabbed him in the back or something and killed. No, she didn't, because he led her to the river, so I don't know. We'll see.
쉬지 않고 사흘 밤낮 동안 결투를 치르느라 우리 모두 지쳐 있는 상태인데 이쯤에서 잠시 휴식을 하는 것이 어떻겠는가?
And he's like, thank God I've been swinging this thing for so long, my arm's about to fall off.
이 이상으로 계속해서 결투를 치르다가는 결과를 궁금해하는 수많은 구경꾼이 도통 잠에들 수 없지 않겠는가?
So
그래서야
cruel.
이들이 너무 불쌍하지.
So very cruel. Think of the audience.
그렇지 않은가, 로신한테?
He's like reading a magazine, like, what? Yeah, sure.
로신한테는 대답했어.
맞는 말씀입니다.
Yes?
혹은
Or
신발은 말이 없다. 그저 신발인 것 같다.
it's just a pair of shoes.
아니면 혹은 이렇게 말했을 수도요.
Ah, multiple choice. Very fun.
대체 그 바보 같은 전투는 언제 끝나나 했습니다.
These are three very different answers. Or four.
일찌감치 간식을 준비해놨으니까 그거나 같이 드시던가요.
Fear not, my liege. Your shoes and/or horse has prepared snacks and beverages. Sit a while.
그렇게 해서 기나긴 그럼 그 전투의 승리자는 없었을까요? 정말 무승부로 남았을까요?
I think they've presented the many different responses that Rocinante could have given to emphasize the fact that this is an extremely unreliable telling of events. Possibly.
그 전투는
Well, the duel ended pretty quickly after I snapped his neck and threw him in the river.
본인의 모험 속에선 이례적인 무승부였어. 일시적인 휴전이었지.
I'm sure.
하지만 엄밀히 말하자면 승자는 본인이네. 왜냐하면 마지막에 겨눌 때 칼이 아니 내 랜스가 더 기울어져 있었거든.
Is it possible you just weren't using a lance back then?
본인은 그럼에도 불구하고 대인배 같은 마음으로 기꺼이 휴전을 제의하였지.
A lot of pride here.
그러시군요.
So you did.
그렇게 해서 기약 없는 휴전을 하게 된 둘은 어떻게 되었나요?
We sat around and ate snacks and it was righteous.
우리는 친구가 되었네.
Huh.
결투를 통해 다져진 우정이라니. 이것 참 뻔하면서도 드문 이야기군요.
Too true.
그렇다면 기사의 호언대로 당신의 바람은 이루어졌나요?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
그런 것 같기도 하다만.
Maybe? Oh, don't ask us. We don't fucking know. We're the audience. We're waiting to find out the answer.
역시 본인은 위대한 해결사가 될 자질이 있어.
I am filled with a sense of unease. Of the predictable ending to Sanson's stage play in which the Batmobile lost a wheel and the Sanson got away, yes? I'm assuming?
너희 이게 대체 무슨 술수인지 알고 있어?
Fuck no. Weird vampire shit, couldn't tell you.
몸이 계속 움직이지도 않고.
그걸 알았으면 저희가 이렇게 가만히 있겠어요?
Don't be snarky, Ishmael. We do that quite a lot.
하지만 제가 짐작했을 땐 말이죠. 둘의 우정을 질투한 자들도 생겼을 겁니다.
Like, damn, those guys are such good friends. I don't like it.
모험가와 기사 간의 돈독한 우정은 시기를 유발하기 마련이니까요.
So are knights a thing in the city? Like now? Because I've not heard much reference to them outside of this. I mean, don't get me wrong, N-Corp were dressed in plate mail, but those aren't knights. Those are fucking... Well, I guess technically they are. Because, you know, they're evoking, like, the medieval crusaders and stuff like that. But this is the first I've ever heard to a reference of a literal knight in the city. It'd be cool if there were more, like, orders of knights that are basically just, like, vagabond... Not literally fixer officers because they don't have an office and they're not registered, but, like, just, like... vagabond bands of fixers and or syndicates just roaming around doing stuff like Ronin or hedge knights. That'd be cool.
그건 그랬었지. 주위의 많은 이들이 우리의 우정을 시기하였지.
And then what happened?
가시추님, 조심하십시오.
Be careful lest he whap you with that funny magician stick.
다들 정신 차려. 저자의 말에 현혹되지 말고 똑바로.
네, 바로 저렇게 말하면서요.
Oh.
하지만 진실된 우정을 끝까지 지키고 싶었던 당신은
I'm trying to look at his outfit and I can't see any, like, moons on it, so, you know, they're not being that blatant about it. But I did notice the Hongler's outfit was very similar to Sanson's, but I don't think that's necessarily intended to imply any correlation between the two. In terms of the character that Hongler was playing, not Hongler himself, you know.
둘의 사이를 갈라놓으려 했던 자들을 향해 그 정의로운 랜스를 휘둘렀습니다.
That sounds a little less righteous. That's probably because it was.
랜스를 휘둘렀습니다.
And then... Oh, right. You swung your lance against those who would say those things that Jiasi shouldn't just said. No, don't let him.
네, 이놈을! 어디서 또다시 더러운 술수를 쓰는 것이냐!
Again.
이런.
He's like, oh, how uncouth. Oh, I dare say. You can't swing at me. I'm a magician. My HP pool is very low. Oh, I don't even have a tank with me.
그만 이야기가 끊겨버렸군요.
Evidently.
가련한 자들입니다. 신부는 이 모두에게 정성스러운 마음을 담아 보살피려 했지만 실패했죠.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that that was the focus of this encounter, really.
정작 이곳을 만든 자는 제대로 돌아보지도 않았는데요. 들리시나요? 저곳은 오늘도 퍼레이드가 한창이군요.
Can we go see the parade?
라만차랜드의 카니발 속 퍼레이드는 놓치면 안 될 필수적인 행사죠.
Oh, it's gonna be all kinds of fucked up.
그러니 다음 이야기는 잠시 미뤄두겠습니다.
Until next time. And with that, Sanson lightly flicked his staff against Jiasi Shun's posse. Most of her men stumbled for a moment before slumping to the floor, unconscious. And as the sinner stood there in shock, he disappeared from our sight. Blood bags and blood fiends began to fill the void Sanson left behind. Ah, problematic. Very much so. I have so many questions. And no answers. Less answers than when I started. Today. Wait, I thought blood fiends and blood bags were piling in. Why is it another story section? Of Jiasi Shun's query and the sinner's lukewarm answers. Room temperature answers. The most disappointing.
저자는 누구지? 내 세력이 전부 손도 못 쓰고 그대로 당할 뻔했어.
I don't know, but it's bad, isn't it?
그건 우리가 더 궁금해.
그리고 너희 일행 중 저자는 또 뭐야?
Shun pointed at Don Quixote, and that once again is an excellent question that I would like to know the answer to.
저자에게 유독 관심이 많아 보였어.
It might just be because she's very loud.
역시 본인이 이 중 가장 조심해야 할 자라는 걸 눈치챈 것인가?
That must be it, yes. Ooh, as the sinners gathered themselves, Wei held the line, holding back the endless horde of blood fiends and blood bags. Should we perhaps help? He was protecting his men, yes, but his primary concern seemed to be with the horde getting in Jiasi Shun's way.
탐탁지는 않지만 아가씨 혈육에 기록하십시오.
Ah, I see.
웨이, 오빠가 이 틈을 타서 날 죽이면 어쩌려고?
That would be such a fucking plot twist for Honglu if, you know, all this time and like perhaps probably even still afterwards he's just this really pleasant guy and then he just takes an opportunity to offer and we're all like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, it's what we do in my family. It's part and parcel, standard. She took the risk, she knew it could happen, and it did.
하지만 도련님은 드물게도 그럴.
What if it's all an act?
알아? 그럴 사람이 아니지. 원춘 언니였어 봐.
I don't know what this Yuanshun is, but she sounds terrifying.
그분이라면 당장이라도 휘하의 암자들을 풀었겠죠.
맞아. 다른 언니 오빠들은 저마다 부리고 있는 패거리들로 진작에 우리를 습격했을 테니까.
Get hype for the Zishun boss fight.
아니, 나는 이미 그럴 가치도 없나.
Ah.
그러니 보옥 도련님밖엔 당장의 방법이 없습니다.
Bayu, huh?
들리십니까?
Bayu? I don't know.
소리가 멈추지 않고 계속.
Yeah, these guys are gonna die. Just because there will be too many of them.
알아. 3구역에서 뭔가가 잘못되었어.
Shocking, truly. That's where the blood fiend hunters went, yes?
오기로 한 거니? 시춘?
She's like, don't pressure me, I'm thinking.
임시 동맹이야.
Uh-huh.
우리 둘 다 분배금이 목표는 아니고 서로 각자 찾고 있는 게 있을 것 같은데.
That's true.
그때까지 당분간은.
알아. 할머니가 주신 간식을 다 먹고 나면 다시 싸움 시작인 거지?
That carries a sad implication.
서신의 뒤치다거리를 해달라고 부탁하는 놈 치고는 말투가 상당히 건방지군.
To her credit, and I say this very much to Zishun's credit, she would sooner die than grovel, which is very respectable.
나와 부하들은 이 구역을 1시간도 안 되어서 토벌했어.
Also, she's clearly not a pushover, I want to point out.
그리고 너희는 한참이 지나서야 이곳에 도착했지.
Yeah.
우리는 중간에 놓고 온 게 있어서 그런 거거든? 우리는 30분도 안 되어서 전부
Yeah, because we have time manipulation, so we took actually like 3 hours and then just turned back the clock a bit. We had a lot of borrowed time, you know?
그래. 그럼 내가 합류하면 눈 깜빡할 사이에 전부 토벌되겠네.
Seemingly.
아무래도 뒤치다거리라기보단 써먹기 좋은 상등품 운자가 너희들에게 온 것 같지 않아?
Can't fault the logic.
참, 너무 뻔뻔하게 나오니까 어이가 없는데?
Rich people, Heathcliff, you're used to this, man. Come on.
아, 그래. 이렇게 보니 닮은 것 같기도 하네. 너랑.
칭찬인가요?
It may as well be.
여기야.
Come on. I do fear for her well-being in this canto, though. She's becoming too significant a character to make it through. What, more story? Aren't we gonna fight them? I want to fight them. I want more fights. In which is discussed Emile Sinclair's concerns and Don Quixote's delusions, of which there seem to be quite a few. Like a concerning amount.
신보라는 대장 혈기도 결국 저 이상한 혈기가 들고 튀었어.
Of course he did.
1구역에 그 이발사라는 관리자 혈기도 저자가 데려간 걸 보면
He's assembling a boss rush at the end of the canto, clearly.
정신 나간 말을 중얼거리는데 혼자만 제정신인 것 같은 것도 거슬려.
That's what I was saying. Like, every other Blood Fiend is off in some way, including Cassetti when we met him as well. But Sanson is completely composed, clear-minded. No difficulty saying anything he says or expressing his thoughts. And he's coherent. His words are coherent. 100% makes sense, everything he says.
무대의 장치 혹은 주연을 모으려는 행동으로 여겨지는군요.
Big stage play at the end. That'd be pretty dope.
그렇다면 저희가 가장 주의를 기울여야 할 건
We must keep our eyes on the little one. Not you, Sinclair, the other little one.
그자가 저희에게 보여주고자 하는 그 무대입니다. 어떤 의도인지가 명확히 파악되지 않으므로
Could be literally anything.
네 놈이 그 입만 다물면 될 것을.
그게 모험담을 듣고 싶다는 말을 들으면 본인도 모르게 술술 나와버린다네. 하지만 정말 기가 막힌 이야기들이란 말이오. 간악한 술수로 인해 말해버렸지만 이왕이면 꼭 경청해주게나.
She literally can't help but tell stories. She loves telling stories. Listen, stay a while and listen.
가시춘 씨 말대로 마음만 먹으면 저희를 충분히 제압할 수도 있었을 텐데 그러지도 않았어요.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he could have dropped us there and then.
짜증나네요. 남의 손바닥 위에서 움직이는 기분이라.
It's to the point where I don't think Sanson is going to be the final encounter of this canto. He seems a bit too strong. Like, you know, Wild Hunt Heathcliff and Captain Ahab seemed formidable, certainly, but not they never seemed insurmountable. Even when fucking Wild Hunt Heathcliff went full World of Warcraft Lich King on us, he still seemed beatable. Or fightable. There was still an air of like, yeah, we can totally deal with him. It's gonna be tough, but we can do it. This guy's like, nah, he's just got powers we can't deal with. Now that might be because of the Golden Bow, or it might be something else entirely, but it does lead me to believe that he will probably survive this canto. Either in the way that Ahab did, in that, you know, he joins N-Corp afterwards, or just simply we get to the final encounter and he's like, cool, I put together everything I wanted to put together, bye, and leaves. Because at the end of the day, really, the focus of this canto is not Sanson, it's Don Quixote. Addressing, facing, dealing with, or unveiling whatever is going on with her would be more of a focus for the canto than Sanson. Sanson is just a key to unlock that. And that's probably what he's trying to do anyway, for his own purposes. I don't know, we'll see.
저 관리자님 아니, 단테님.
You called me Dante, you silly little goof. Sinclair carefully calls over to me. What is it? Hey kid, I'm on my break, do you mind?
눈치채고 계실 거라고 생각하지만 혹시나 해서요.
Go for it. Sinclair has a way of noticing things. He's quite perceptive.
이번 임무는
This mission, it's a bit fucky, isn't it? Sinclair hesitated for a while, unsure how he should word this, then looked directly at me with a degree of conviction.
돈키호테 씨와 관련된 것이라는 걸요.
It is all about Don Quixote, isn't it?
그리고 그걸 돈키호테 씨는 모르고 있고요.
It's fascinating because she 100% embraces the fact that it's all about her. If you know what I mean, she's taking the lead on everything and being like, oh yes, my tales and my adventures is very self-centered, you know, and she's embracing that aspect of it. But she, at the same time, does not grasp that all the events transpiring here are actually about her. You know? It's weird. It's a weird sense of self-centeredness. Or a weird version of self-centeredness. She embraces the attention but does not truly grasp where it's coming from and what it means. Or she's choosing to ignore it.
통하게 그지없군. 또다시 눈앞에서 저 얍삽한 혈기놈을 놓치다니.
Truly unthinkable.
그런 것 치곤 홀랑 넘어가서 이야기만 잘만 하던데. 본인의 모험담을 들려달라는 말이 이렇게나 매혹적이었을 줄 몰랐다네. 물론 로망 리스트에 있는 상황이라 해도 계속 참지 못하다니. 돌아가면 정신 수양을.
I'm sure you'll do that, and I'm sure it'll work, definitely. I stared at Don Quixote, who was chattering away with the other sinners in her usual blissful cluelessness, then back at Sinclair. Clearly, he was as conflicted about this as I am. Yeah.
그리고 그걸 저희에게 알려주지 않는 것도 단테 씨만의 이유가 있는 거고요.
You're absolutely right, Sinclair, and you're such a lad for being that understanding. Also, yeah.
기억나세요? 제가 고향에 갔을 때 돈키호테 씨가 저를 막 때려눕혀가지고
I actually forgot about that. 100% completely forgot that she beat the fuck out of him. Because, and I quote, people used to do it to her to snap her out of her, like, single-minded moments where she was just focusing on one thing above all else. And she was like, this will work on Sinclair, and it did, weirdly. I'm sure everyone, including myself, remembered what happened after Guido's death. I didn't. Until now.
지금 생각하면 조금 부끄럽긴 하지만 그때 제가 분별을 잃고 날뛰고 있으니까 돈키호테 씨가 그랬잖아요. 정신 차려야 한다고.
So is Sinclair gonna return the favor, or does someone else have to do this?
그런 상황에서 몸소 나서서 행동하는 것도 분명 쉽진 않았을 거예요. 하지만 돈키호테 씨는 망설임 없이 저를 위해서 걸음을 떼주신 분이었고요.
It was very cool of her.
저도 그런 동료가 되고 싶어요. 그렇게 되기 위해 노력해왔고요. 아직은 좀 부족할지도 모르겠지만요.
That's sweet.
너무 과분한 욕심은 아니겠죠?
I don't think you could ever become quite so fucking clueless, but you could certainly glean some of that confidence off of her. No, I think that's a good kind of thing to hope for. Entirely unrealistic, but good.
뭐가 좋은 욕심이라는 것인가?
Pray tell, are you guys talking about me?
뭘 그리 놀라는 겐가?
He's like, nothing, I didn't say anything, alright, bye. Oh, we were just chatting about this contract. That was surprisingly quick, Dante, well done.
관리자 나리도 깨달아버린 것인 겐가?
As well? No way.
아무리 봐도 말이오. 이번 의뢰는
She's gonna say... You know what, I don't know.
누군가
I thought she might say that!
보이지 않는가?
I thought she might say Hongler, because his sister's here. And, you know, blood fiends are all about family and bloodlines and stuff, and Hongler's whole thing is his family. To give her credit, that's not a terrible assumption to make. It's incorrect, absolutely, but reasonable. Like, yeah, fair enough, there is something there, actually. Hongler?
관리자 나리 보기보다 눈치가 참 없구려. 홍록은이 아까부터 표정도 계속 요상하고.
I mean, yeah, his he is relevant to this, certainly, but it's definitely not all about him.
똑같은 것 같은데요?
I bet there is something different about him, but Don Quixote is the only one who seems to notice.
거기다 혈육과 예상치 못한 재회도 하지 않았는가?
That's the interesting thing. Like, I just talked about one of the defining things about Don Quixote is that she's quite self-centered, and yet she's here right now being like, this is clearly all about Hong Le. Haven't you seen like how different he is? And the rest of us are like, we don't notice anything. And she's the only one who's noticed. That's the thing when writing a character, I think, is that people will give a character a trait, right? Let's use self-centered as the example because it's the one that was just mentioned. A character can be self-centered, but that doesn't mean every line that comes out of their mouth has to be self-centered. It doesn't have to be about being self-centered. There can be shades to a character's personality, depending on the situation, depending on how they feel, depending on where they are, depending on what's happened. If you create a character who's a narcissist, that doesn't mean, and I'm not saying Don Quixote's a narcissist, I'm just using another example, doesn't mean every word that comes out of their mouth has to be narcissistic. Heathcliff was a violent dickhead, but that doesn't mean every line that came out of his mouth had to be violent dickhead. And indeed, he subtly began to say less and less of those kinds of things as he grew, but that's not quite what I'm talking about. The point is, I've seen a lot of characters in stories fall flat because they pick a personality trait and then cling on to it desperately with no room for anything else, for any kind of variation to their personality depending on the situation. They just get angry or sad or happy, and that's it. There's no nuance to it. But these characters do have nuance, and that's why I like them. Not only do they grow, but their defining personality traits are not the be-all end-all of their personalities, and that's what makes them interesting, because it makes them seem like actual people. I don't know. I think it's cool.
또한 들어본 적도 없는 수많은 혈육의 이름들과 암투의 향기까지.
Right, yeah, it's all true.
비록 본인은 혈육이란 걸 가져본 적 없지만 참으로 싱숭생숭할 것도 같다 생각하네.
Why did you have to use the words kindred blood? Why would you say that?
그러니 관리자 나리 홍루군을 잘 돌봐주시게.
Take good care of Hong Le. Don't worry about me. I'm a fucking hero. I'll be alright. This shit ain't about me anyway, even though I've told my life story on stage twice during this contract.
어떻게 보면 우리 모두가 제각각의 모험을 하는 중 아닌가?
It's very true, Don Quixote, yes. That's true.
모험은 곧 고행과 같이 그 험난한 여정을 꺾이지 않는 마음으로 극복해 나가는 것은 굉장히 중요한 일이네.
I hope you still hold on to that train of thought an hour from now.
예를 들어 본인이 옛날에 했던 모험을 보면 말이지. 그것은 한 선술집에서 일어난 일이었는데.
It all started when I was born. Don Quixote's tale of adventure continued through our entire journey to Area 3, and you know what? It probably would have been good to listen. Some sinners and I did pay some attention to it, but we didn't find much of her story to be of any use. Alright, fair enough. This is going places. Hong Le's canto, not to downplay this one at all, but Hong Le's canto is going to be fucking fascinating. Because they've been building it up quite strongly for like... since Canto 4. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone's individual stories are being built up over time. That's not unique to Hong Le, but it feels like we're getting a lot more from Hong Le in this regard for about 3 cantos now. Let me rephrase that, because it's not actually been the cantos themselves other than Canto 4 where we really started to see more of Hong Le's personality beyond the initial facade. It's usually the intervalos where he expresses himself a bit more, or the interim stuff, you know? I don't know, it's hard to remember everything on the spot. That's the issue, of course, when trying to make statements while recording, is that I can't remember everything right now, but it feels like his background is getting a lot of focus, and has been for a while, so that's going to be interesting, but we're not there now. No, not yet. Wherein is told the story of dancing blood fiends and the extravagant parade. Oh boy. Oh, majestic. And what is a parade without the corpses on sticks? I didn't read that. That was a mistake on my part. Hold on. The long parade, the end of which lay beyond my sight, may have appeared like a real festival full of joy and celebration from a distance. However, people marching in rows to singing that knew no end. The tune of their music was so hopeful, so cheerful that I almost felt myself compelled to join them and dance along to the carnival procession. If the parade in question wasn't full of shambling bloodbags and the terrified sobbing and pleading of its victims, that is. It's even got singing! Yeah! Let us march together, oh happy hour, to the beat of upbeat drums, without worries or concerns, here at the Grand Carnival of La Mancha. La Mancha! Please help me.
이 앞에는 무엇이 있지?
What the fuck is this?
아하, 새로 오신 손님이군요. 오늘은 손님이 많이 오시는 날이죠.
You will be the first to die. Also, this confirms to me that Honglu's outfit was actually not significant in that stage play because that's basically the same outfit. It's just period clothing, you know.
이 앞에는 당연히 퍼레이드의 주인공 아름다운 돌시리아님이 계시죠.
Oh, Shania, the beautiful. That's a bit on the nose.
아, 혹시 다른 해결사분들은 본 적 없으신가요?
Have you seen any of the people who are attacking your place yet?
오빠, 이곳에서도 여전히 분위기랑 안 맞는 질문을 하고 다니는 거야?
Fuck no, not even a little bit.
둘 중 하나죠. 피주머니가 되어서 여기에 있거나
Or they're out there being a pain in the ass.
피주머니들을 죽이고 저 앞까지 갔거나.
Ah,
더 앞으로 가야겠네요.
seems like it.
같이 춤추자.
I don't want to dance. I don't dance unless I've had a few drinks. And I suppose they're not offering that, are they? Oh, how very fun, yes. Oh my god, she's joining us in battle. That's fun. Hello. She's a Rupture character. Oh, that's cool. And Poise as well. Offense level up. Crimson Spring. I suspect there's going to be a lot of fighting. Blood Feast mechanic is in play. A +5 Festive Fever for final power +1. Yep. Festive Fever just seems to provide more power. Final power specifically. Gain 1 Festive Fever every time this unit gains positive buff with skill effects once per type of buff. Gain equal to the number of allies. Lose equal to the number of allies that were killed this turn. At 8+, use a powerful skill next turn. And then the rest of it appears to be fairly standard Blood Bag and Blood Fiend skills. Okay. You're actually a Blood Fiend. Interesting, okay. Well, we're still gonna get in there. The way that we do.
대신 되찾을 거다.
지금 아직 징수할 내용이 남았으니 아직 징수할 내용이 남았으니 그 남은 제압 완료. 대체가 약화됐다.
Nice. Excellent finish by Zishun there. She's very good. Matters not. More combat of the battles the sinners fought in their journey to the front of the parade. Clear within 12 turns, oh I dare say. There's so many blood fiends to crush in so little time, oh I dare say.
대체가 탈출 대체가 정리되었습니다.
Beautiful. Simply beautiful. Oh, Zishun's gonna die, I can tell. I can just feel it. Feel it in my bones. I know. I feel it.
완료.
I'm going to leave that there, friends. Thank you so much for watching. We're part 31 and there are 35 parts, which leads me to believe that there is probably going to be a dungeon of some kind, purely because if not, then this canto is quite short, which wouldn't be the most terrible thing in the world. But I also feel that there is a lot more that needs to happen for 5 parts, you know? There's literally 5 parts left, apparently, and that's not enough time. Not unless each part was like half an hour to an hour long. That's not enough time to wrap up all the loose ends. We've not begun to truly understand what's going on with Don Quixote. We haven't resolved Area 3 yet, and we haven't progressed to the final area. Like, there's too much to wrap up now. There's going to be a dungeon, or like we'll beat part 35 and go on to part 3, and the game will be like, actually, here's another 20 parts, or something like that. I'm not trusting the little thing in the top right which says how many parts are left too much, because it doesn't seem likely that that'll be the case. But either way, I'm excited to find out more. I have so many questions. I have so many fucking questions. I have so many questions, and none of them are being answered. I think it's going to be a long-ass dungeon through the last area of La Mancha Land. That's my suspicion. Whether or not that turns out to be the case, we shall see. But friends, thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to our members and patrons: Sonny the Horse, Cryolytic, Abyssal Angie, Ninja Dog, Ember Fox, Grand Captain General Peace, Beanbag Turtle, Malignant Humor, Cuds, Canis Samaria, Poe, Porshop Lebrex, Lifesteal, Mega Mr. Z-Man, Unclever Names, Summercat, Flanny, Painter Dragoon, Lilac Side, Libertatos, Proxy, Caminera, Moa, Heartland, Harrick J, Dresso, Sion Distance, Lol, Etherbin, Linky, Sion Cedar, Bimblewater, Majoko, Maimu Now, Kia, Honeydew, Sweet Baby Red, Jess Kissy, Plutonian Pie, Dreamer Ghost, Lullaby, K-Bub, Magic Owl, The Frostbite, Monsoon, SCP-106A, Namad, and Kenny100 for supporting me on YouTube and Patreon. Friends, thank you so much, and thank you all so much for watching. We're getting there. We're getting there. Except we're not getting there. I think we still have a long way to go. Surely we have a long way to go. No answers have been answered, no questions have been answered, and you can't tell me they're just going to spill it all in like one cutscene and be like, here is literally everything, and now we shan't be discussing it again anytime soon. There's much to go through. And I'm curious to see what that entails. But that'll be next time, or the time after, or whenever. But regardless when it is, I hope I see you there. Doodles. Goodbye.